Today, we're not just scratching the surface, but plunging headfirst into a riveting conversation that'll challenge your perceptions. We will be guiding you through this roller coaster of revelation. Get ready to be hit with mind-blowing statistics, jaw-dropping stories, and a spotlight on the intricate web of racism in America. So, find a comfy spot, smash that like button, and join us as we embark on an exploration of the top 10 most racist towns in America. Did you know that, on average, black men in the U.S. receive sentences that are 19.1% longer than those of their white counterparts convicted for the same crimes? And 15.8% of black students have reported experiencing race-based bullying or harassment. Our nation still grapples with the haunting legacy of racism. It's a tough pill to swallow, and today we're unveiling a list that might shock you, offend you, and even leave you a bit uncomfortable. But hold on a second, this isn't just about shock value. Our goal here is to ignite change. We're about to pave the way for a future that's not just diverse, but truly inclusive. So join us on this mission as we unveil the top 10 most racist towns in America. Are you ready? Let's dive right into the heart of it. Number 10. Harrison, Arkansas. Perched on the border of Missouri, this town has earned the dubious title of the most racist in America, a label echoing both through time and into the present day. Its roots dig deep into the soil of a troubled past, marked by the infamous Harrison race riots of 1905 and 1909, when the town violently purged all but one black resident, birthing an all-white community. Harrison's tale is one of attempted redemption. A former slave state, Arkansas grapples with the shadows of its history, and Harrison is no exception. In 2003, the town established a community task force on race relations, a beacon in the fight against racism. Victories have been won, offensive billboards dismantled, and a petition to remove a particularly offensive one garnered over 8,000 signatures. Yet the battle is ongoing, and only time will reveal if Harrison is truly on the road to equality. Number 9. Anchorage, Alaska. Now, shift your gaze to the continent's northern reaches, Anchorage, Alaska, where the cold winds of prejudice blow through. Here, racism wears a different guise, targeting Native Alaskans in a shadowy dance of injustice. Despite constituting a mere 16% of the population, Alaska Natives bear a disproportionate burden, comprising 29% of all homicide victims, with Anchorage leading the grim statistic. Within Anchorage's school district, a tale of educational inequity unfolds. Black students receive failing grades at twice the rate of their white peers, while Native Alaskans face an even steeper climb, with failing grades at 3 times the rate. The disparity is not an accusation against teachers, but a glaring spotlight on achievement gaps, technological access, and instructional inequalities. Many Native Alaskan children, classified as English language learners, grapple with a linguistic disadvantage stemming from colonization. Despite these challenges, Anchorage boasts a glimmer of hope in its diversity. As the fastest growing city in racial and ethnic diversity in the U.S., it stands at the crossroads of progress and adversity, a complex narrative unfolding against the backdrop of the last frontier. Number 8. Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu, nestled on the island of Oahu, is a microcosm of this historical saga, revealing stark disparities, particularly in housing. Native Hawaiians, constituting only 10% of Oahu's population, make up 51% of the unhoused individuals on the island. Similar to the invisible racist element observed in Alaska, Honolulu grapples with the consequences of Western tourism, predominantly driven by mainland visitors. This influx has inflated costs on Oahu to such an extent that Native Hawaiians, who have called the island home for over 1,400 years, now find themselves overrepresented in the homeless population. The unsuspecting traveler may not realize the underbelly of racism beneath the paradise they envision during their vacations. However, a call to responsibility exists for those seeking to explore Honolulu. One impactful gesture is to bypass the allure of chain hotels on Waikiki Beach and opt for a local vacation home owned by a Native Hawaiian. Travelers contribute to the local economy by supporting Native shops, restaurants, and cultural centers. In the heart of this Pacific haven, a nuanced understanding of history and a commitment to responsible tourism can pave the way for a more equitable and harmonious future. Number 7. Leith, North Dakota. Journeying into the vast plains of North Dakota, we stumble upon a seemingly inconspicuous town, Leith, with a mere 29 residents. However, in 2012, this town etched its name into the annals of infamy when white nationalist Greg Cobb descended upon it, acquiring 12 plots of land in a bid to create an Aryan haven. The PBS documentary Welcome to Leith brought this unsettling saga to light. Cobb, a provocateur, urged his followers to join him, successfully securing 2 white nationalists on the city council in 2018. Leith's dismayed residents felt the ripple effect of this takeover and vehemently protested and even petitioned to dissolve the town. Despite their efforts, Leith persisted, forever changed by the stain of hate. Bobby Harper, the lone black resident, described a life overturned and fraught with turmoil since Cobb's arrival. Although Cobb has since departed, selling his land, the scars remain. Leith, once a quiet enclave, now finds itself tethered to a dark chapter despite the resistance of its original inhabitants. Number 6. Fresno, California. Now, let's shift the focus to the sun-kissed landscapes of California, where the notion of racism extends far beyond the stereotypical narratives of the American South. While Los Angeles escapes direct scrutiny due to its sheer size, the same cannot be said for Fresno, California's fifth largest city. Fresno, a city of stark contrasts, reveals a tale of two halves. The western portion, predominantly Latino and Black, and the rest. Driving through the western half paints a picture of neglect, evident in pothole-ridden roads, overflowing landfills, and struggling schools. Residents of West Fresno recount experiences of racial slurs from their white teachers, underscoring the stark disparities within the city. More than half of West Fresno residents live below the poverty line, starkly contrasting to the 27% in the rest of the city. This segregation, however, is no accident. It is a legacy of redlining, a discriminatory housing practice outlawed over 50 years ago. The scars of this systemic policy persist, manifesting in racial violence, accusations of racism within school boards, and government neglect in neighborhoods predominantly composed of people of color. Number 5. VOR Texas. As we venture further into the unsettling exploration of America's racial landscape, our next stop takes us to VOR Texas, a small town in the southeastern corner of the Lone Star State, just east of Houston. Steeped in a troubling history, VOR was once part of a network of communities known as sundown towns, where Black Americans were forbidden after dark, marked by signs boldly proclaiming "whites only after dark." Despite attempts by mayors to shed this dark reputation, VOR struggles to escape its past. With a population of around 8,600 according to the 2020 census, VOR remains predominantly white, with only 39 residents identifying as Black. The first Black residents arrived in 1993 amid protests led by the Ku Klux Klan, aiming to desegregate the town. Despite these efforts, only a handful of Black Americans were willing to make VOR their home. The town gained national attention in 2020 when a Black Lives Matter march challenged its reputation. While considered a victory by some, the march faced backlash from town residents and counter-protesters. Social media posts attempting to debunk VOR's racist image often carry racist undertones, revealing the ongoing struggle for change in this southern town. Number 4. Rochelle, Georgia. Nestled in Wilcox County, a town that realistically extends its story to the entire county, Wilcox finds itself at the center of a modern-day battle against a legacy of racial division. Tradition holds a firm grip on this middle-of-the-state community, where churches dot every corner, Confederate flags proudly wave, and shockingly, segregated proms persisted until 2014. Yes, in 2014. During the era of desegregation, many Georgia schools sidestepped integration by ceasing to host proms, allowing parents and students to organize separate events for white and Black attendees. In a county where 35% of the population is Black, the existence of segregated proms is a stark reminder of persistent racial divides. However, the winds of change began to blow when 4 Black and white students created a Facebook page in 2014, petitioning for an integrated prom. Their courageous stance unveiled an uncomfortable truth about a part of the country that some prefer to overlook, yet simultaneously ignited a flame of change. Number 3. Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Moving to the bustling urban landscape, we find Crown Heights in Brooklyn, New York, earning a place on this list despite the city's reputation as a symbol of racial progress. Amidst the diverse tapestry of New York City, hate crimes have surged by 76%, challenging the city's self-proclaimed mantle of tolerance. Crown Heights, historically a haven for Hasidic Jews fleeing Europe, gained notoriety after racial riots in 1991 between Black and Jewish residents. The complexities of race unfold in Crown Heights, where Jewish Americans find themselves navigating a racial gray zone. Historically denied the privileges of whiteness, they are now often lumped into the category, facing challenges that blur the lines of discrimination. The Jewish population, disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, raises accusations of media and local officials covering up anti-Semitism. Amidst the bustling cityscape, Crown Heights becomes a microcosm reflecting the broader tensions and contradictions in the narrative of racial harmony. Number 2. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee, Wisconsin is a state often hailed for its quality of life, low crime rates, excellent healthcare access, and robust school systems. However, as the nation confronts racism head-on, cities like Milwaukee find themselves facing a stark reality. Are these commendable qualities truly benefiting all residents? Despite the state's reputation, Milwaukee's schools suspend Black students often for similar offenses as their white counterparts, at a rate more than twice the national average, surpassing any other city in America. While Wisconsin may be perceived as predominantly white, Milwaukee's demographic makeup challenges this assumption, with Black Americans constituting 40% of the city's population. Paradoxically, the city also harbors the highest achievement gap in the country. Racial disparities extend beyond education, as Wisconsin incarcerates the most Black men in the nation. More than half of Black men in their 30s and 40s in Milwaukee County have experienced incarceration, a sobering statistic rooted in historical policies that led to the city becoming one of the most segregated in the country. In response, groups like Rid Racism Milwaukee strive to combat this legacy, envisioning a future where Greater Milwaukee stands as a racial equality, justice, and harmony model. Number 1. Pulaski, Tennessee. Our final stop takes us to Palaski, Tennessee, the birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan, founded on December 24, 1865 in the aftermath of the Civil War. This small town witnessed the establishment of a notorious organization that terrorized, burned, and killed recently freed black individuals, abolitionists, and sympathetic whites. The courthouse in Palaski still hosts a plaque commemorating the Klan's birth, a controversial symbol that some residents view as representing chivalry in the face of the Union rather than racism. This sentiment, however, clashes with the experiences of many black Americans who find themselves in Pulaski. Despite these historical shadows, some Pulaski locals actively challenge the town's reputation. Artist Bernice Davidson, for instance, founded the Unsung Heroes Project, creating murals honoring local heroes and educating them about historical injustices. However, broader efforts could include renaming towns and sites with offensive terms, a step towards acknowledging the painful history embedded in the vocabulary of America's landscapes. As we conclude this eye-opening journey through the challenging terrain of racial disparities in America, it's crucial to acknowledge that determining the most racist town is no simple task. The roller coaster of emotions experienced in exploring this list underscores a poignant truth. Not everyone in these towns harbors racist sentiments. Remarkable individuals nationwide are tirelessly championing the cause of racial justice, working towards a more inclusive future. For those whose towns have appeared, the call to action echoes loudly. Now is the time to be the catalyst for change. Remember, in the face of knowledge, the power to do better rests in our hands. Let us strive collectively to foster understanding, empathy, and a shared commitment to dismantling the structures that perpetuate racial inequalities. After all, when we know better, we can do better. Peace.